Hello friends, new and old, welcome to my channel. My name is Audra. Today I wanted to make this video as a friendly reminder to myself and to all of you guys who are watching this, that no matter who or what you identify with, ultimately we are spiritual beings living a human experience. And this truth is, for all you folks out there who are, if not spiritually awake, then at least spiritually aware. This is helpful, a helpful thing to remind ourselves with from time to time when we get caught up with all these struggles of life and trying to understand ourselves, and maybe getting a little bit lost in all the streams of information and all the different ways you can look at yourself and at your problems and so on. And so this brings to another point that is something that I try to remind myself regularly, because it just helps me keep my sanity in check, is that one of the most important things in life as a before mentioned spiritual being living a human experience is to recognize, respect, and commit to your own unique timeline in this life. And this is a very important thing to remember when you get caught up with sort of comparing yourself with other people, right? Which we naturally do. It's something that we definitely shouldn't do, but we do. And it can be very detrimental to our mental health, especially if you are in one or another way different from the majority of the society, from the mainstream, right? So the comparison is just bears no fruit. It's not useful to you if you're comparing with someone. If you're comparing yourself with the masses, or you're comparing yourself with the majority of your peers, or people in your age group, then it doesn't make any sense if you know for sure that you look at the world in a different way and you have different values and different aspirations. And for me, probably similarly to you guys, if you're watching my channel, the most important, like my goal, my mission in life is to, help to raise collective consciousness and help other people like me to step into their own unique paths of life. It sounds very simple and, maybe even naive, but it's just something that, the deepest truths in life usually sound very simple, but they're not easy to do. But yeah, I suppose this reminder of the uniqueness of the path that we all have. We all have our unique ways of living this life and our very specific and unique timelines where we cannot compare ourselves to others, because we might not even need to experience certain things in life in this lifetime as being these souls, right? Compared to other people that we know that they need to go through certain things, and they need to, for instance, they need to have a family to experience certain things, to then sort of lift their own consciousness and to learn certain things about themselves and to grow as souls, and as people, as humans. But another person might not need that, might experience the same things or in different ways, or they might not even need to experience these things in this lifetime. That soul might need a completely different lesson to learn. So I suppose this way of thinking is really, as I said, just keeps my sanity in check, because I am very analytical person and I am very curious person, and I love all these different ways that we can, all these different classifications and ways to profile people, and to find, you know, I've always been in this quest of finding just the right box that I belong in, although I am very out of the box kind of a person as well. So basically I did realize that there's no one box that I can fit in and just stay there all happy and content. There are so many boxes that I belong to, and basically this is not even a box anymore. So what I'm saying is that there are so many ways to identify yourself with. There's gender, there's you know, astrological profiling, there's human design profiling, there's Ayurvedic constitutions, there are all these personality traits, all these, you know, scales like introversion, extroversion, and all these different things, plus all the possible diagnoses and neurodivergence, and there are so many ways you can think of yourself and find a lot of comfort and a lot of kinship and friendship in these different groups of people identifying with the same thing as you do, for, you know, different like biological or physical or, you know, emotional and spiritual basis. But it is also important not to get stuck in neither of those, because at the end of the day, all these profiles do explain your human existence, but they can also sort of make you think in a more narrow way about yourself and about life. And I think, you know, for people that, again, are watching this channel, we do tend to call ourselves spiritual people, right? And this is something that we need to focus on more occasions than we think. And even though I do identify myself as autistic and an ADHD, so that's a double neurodivergence, which is a different beast in itself. I do realize that thinking from that perspective alone can be even more alienating than I need to feel. It serves the purpose. Try to, finding compassion to myself. For instance, like last week, so I'll give you a little bit of context. Last week, after a really nice long weekend, there was the Easter weekend, right? So there was like a longer weekend that, you know, most people would have, and I spent the entirety of it with my with someone that I'm in love with right now, and it was a really romantic and awesome weekend. And also we went to meet my family and spend, you know, just what it was like 3-4 hours with them, which in and of itself, not the meeting, not the introduction of my new love to my family, but rather the spending of time with my family, that you know, there's a whole Pandora box of all of the triggers and all the, you know, all the things that I'm still working on in myself, that spending time with them bring up. So even though the whole weekend was really nice and romantic and just chill and just really good time basically that I had. Those few hours in celebration of Easter morning basically with my family, I think it had a toll on my just emotional body, so much that I had to spend like 2 full days, and really more than that, 2.5 days, feeling completely drained. I could barely, get out of bed and make myself something to eat. I wasn't even interested in, reading a book, let alone writing something myself. And I did watch quite a lot of YouTube videos about, which I recognized in myself. What was it? It was a autistic shutdown, and I thought that it's just that. And I was trying to find all the compassion that I needed at the time for myself, because obviously I was thinking that, oh, I'm such a, basically a waste of space, and I'm feeling depressed, although there was hardly any reason to feel like that. And I was just so exhausted, and there were so many things that I needed to do, or I wanted to do to feel more productive. But I was just like, I knew that I needed to give myself that time to be depressed, to have this cleanse of all the, outside noise, and not to be in the public aura, and not to speak to anyone. And after that, I did come back to life, and that's all good and well. But I suppose what I'm leaning toward, where I'm going with this, is that, again, I did recognize my tendency to go, through these, dive deep into the rabbit hole of something that fascinates me. Well, you can call it a special interest as well, from an autistic perspective. So me watching all these YouTube videos with, mental health professionals mostly, and other people that identify with autism and ADHD, to find that compassion, and to verify that what is happening to me is legit, is something that just happens, and it's not my fault, and it's all good. But seeing things from another perspective might also be very useful, because finding external information to find the self-compassion that comes from within can also lead to, going into the route of self-pity, and victimizing yourself, and disempowering yourself, and reminding myself that I am a spiritual being living a human experience, and that human experience, part of that human experience, my own human experience, is being autistic and ADHD. It's just that it's not the whole me, that it's not, even though I do get a lot of help from that identification, it's not the whole me. And ultimately, when I zoom out, thinking of myself as the soul trying to raise the vibration of this planet with other souls like me that, do know and are aware that they are souls in a human body, this has been the most helpful thing. And to shut down that noise from outside from time to time is also very important. And those 2 days that I spent watching all these YouTube videos, I did shut down the noise. Well, autistic shutdown, so maybe that's why it's called like that, right? You shut down from all the noise from outside. But I didn't shut down from, all these videos that were sort of like, I found a lot of peace from like hearing that information. But at some point I was just overwhelmed by, oh my God, so is that going to be my reality? Is this just going to be, oh, I'm just not capable of doing certain things? So for instance, right now, a big hurdle in my life is to find a job, to be able to pay the bills and to sustain myself while I'm building my self-employment thing. So basically, as I mentioned before in one of my videos, I do want a job, but I don't as well, because I'm sort of working towards being self-employed. And it's, I'm trying to understand why am I struggling to hold a job. So again, I can look at it from a perspective of being autistic and understanding that I did experience a really massive burnout a couple of years ago when I was working in a very busy restaurant and seasonal job, one of many. And I knew that I needed to stop. It was just too much, like sensorically and emotionally. I was just completely burned out. And I kept on coming back to the same, field of hospitality, field of work, and I kept on sort of digging deeper and deeper hole for myself. And so I could look at it that way, that I cannot, it's just, I'm too burnt out as an autistic person to come back to working in restaurants, because it's just too loud, too noisy, too bright, too everything. You need to, talk to so many people, and just it's so draining, and the cost of it is just too much. And after work, I can't really then work on my side hustle, which sounds like an ideal thing, to have a day job and then work on your side hustle to eventually move into full time. So, and this way I feel sort of disabled, like I cannot do something that I know how to do, like work in restaurants. And that would be very helpful for me to just go back to that, because that's something that I know. But I feel like, I can't do it anymore. But if I look at it from a spiritual perspective, then I can say that, well, it's more expansive way to think about the situation, and more empowering, because, well, it's not that I'm disabled. It's not that I'm necessarily, it's not the only reason why I can't do it, is that I'm burned out. It's also the fact that I've been telling myself for quite a few years already that I am going to leave this field of work, and I am going to pursue my dreams and my going full time with my mission, my soul's mission. And my soul, knowing that I was just like, we have our own timeline, but even on my own timeline, it's just like, it's time to do that. We've been saying that for many years. And other ways of going about this, like, I'm just gonna work a lot and earn a bunch of money, and then I'm gonna do the thing. But then I'm so tired that I don't have I need so much time to recover, and then half that money is gone, and so on. So it's like my soul is urging my human brain and my human body. It's basically like, you cannot do this, not because you are disabled, but it's just not what you're supposed to do at this time. And even though it's very uncomfortable to be in this position where it's just like, I'm looking for a job, and I'm failing at it in a sense, because it's just, I'm sending so many CVs, and it seems like it repels people. Like, I'm not getting any calls, although it seems like, to me, it seems like such a wonderful CV. I've got so many so much work experience, and I'm not applying to restaurant jobs, but even so, it's just like, I'm not applying to the right jobs. And but still, knowing that, well, there is a reason why I can't do that job, and it's not because I am less able to do that, but it's it's not what I'm supposed to do. And so yeah, this is my message for for all of you guys, to find those tools. I mean, to find those ways to identify yourself with one or another, or a bunch of different groups of people and categories of personalities, of body constitutions, of astrological charts, and all these things, and brain types, and yeah, neurotypes and neurodivergent types. It's all wonderful, but it needs to, well, I invite you to see them as tools to just get into the alignment with your true self easier. And if it's not making it easier, then just pivot, try to pivot your way of thinking, and maybe at this point of life, it's better for you to actually, well, maybe identification with this particular part of you is going to be more helpful. For instance, maybe it's more helpful, as a woman, to pay more attention to your menstrual cycles, that that you have different energy during different weeks of the month, or maybe at this particular point of life, it's more helpful for you to identify with, well, you have, Sun in Cancer, and it's very important for you to have a stability and find home in if not your environment, then in yourself. So all so many different ways to look at life and look at yourself. But I do invite you to always come back to the truth that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and you have a unique timeline that you cannot compare with anyone else, and it's unique to you. And you don't need to hurry, objectively thinking, you don't need to hurry, but because you're not competing with anyone. So this is going to be enough for today, and I hope you are well, and I wish you a really nice rest of the day or the night. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.